Hello there, I'm Presley, and today I will be reviewing and giving my overall thoughts on the game Arkham Asylum. Now, this game came out in 2009, so it's been quite a long time since it originally came out. Now, let's start this off by going over the plot. I won't be going into every single detail, but I will be going over the main important storyline, kind of. Briefly going over it, before I give my overall thoughts and whatnot. The game, unsurprisingly, takes place at Arkham Asylum. It would be, frankly, a bit concerning if it didn't, with a title like this. Now, the game starts off with Batman bringing in the Joker. And, the Joker, he attacked City Hall, Not that surprising for the Joker. And, Batman's bringing him to Arkham Asylum. Batman insists on following them in, and it's because he's suspicious. He thinks the Joker was a bit too willing to be apprehended this time. Like, he feels like he's planning something. It turns out Harley Quinn has taken over the security room. The Joker's then able to escape further into the facility. Several villains end up being freed and roaming the island, because, of course they do. And, the Joker's pretty much, he's taken over the island at this point. He's also planted several bombs around Gotham, which is basically how he's keeping anyone from coming to the island in an attempt to, get it under control. But, Batman's there, and that's normally enough to handle this type of thing. Commissioner Gordon ends up being taken hostage, because, of course he does. The poor commissioner. He never seems to be able to catch a break, honestly. Saving the commissioner does take precedence over, stopping the Joker. Anyway, Batman tracks down Harley Quinn, where she currently has the commissioner. You're able to get in there and save the commissioner. Harley Quinn, she escapes this specific encounter. Now, we find out the reason why the Joker has returned to Arkham Asylum willingly is because he wants to gain access to the Titan serum, which Dr. Young has been developing. And basically, this is a stronger and more powerful version of the venom drug that Bane uses. Anyway, Batman finds and destroys Dr. Young's research note. But, they've already kind of been producing some Titans, so destroying the research notes, it helps, but there's still Titan there, so you might want to, get rid of that as well. So, he ends up finding Dr. Young. She's been taken hostage by Victor, not Mr. Freeze, not that Victor, a different Victor, whose last name I have not been able to pronounce in preparing to record this, so I will just be calling him Victor. You're able to save Dr. Young from Victor, but then a bomb goes off and kills her. Extremely tragic. And then the Joker's able to obtain the finished batch of Titan that was already made. Batman ends up collecting some spores from the plants that are infused with Titan to try and make an antidote. He's able to create one, but he's only able to create enough for one dose. Bad news! Commissioner Gordon has been caught again. Batman finally finds where the Joker is currently at. He's in the visitor center. He's got Gordon there. He's about to shoot Gordon with a dart containing the Titan serum, but Batman jumps in the way. He's hit with the dart. It infects him with the Titan serum. The Joker is not happy about this. So then he injects himself with way too much of the Titan serum, like a concerning amount, and he ends up turning into a grotesque monster. Batman then injects himself with the antidote to keep himself from turning. And then a fight between the Joker and Batman ensues. This is the final boss fight of the game. Ultimately, Batman beats him, and that's how the game ends. Now, let's talk a bit about the different villains that appear in this game. Now, I'm only going to be talking about the ones that had either boss fights or character sections. And what I mean by that is that not necessarily a traditional boss fight, but still technically a boss fight. You know, an encounter. A boss encounter is what I'll call it. Basically, the first one is Victor, and this is the tutorial one. You swoop down, you knock him out. You save the scientists. Very simple. Another one with him is, of course, where you go to save Dr. Young, where he takes her hostage. In that one, you really just peek around the corner and toss a batarang at him. You also end up fighting Bane, and now that one is just a traditional boss fight. Not really too difficult of a fight. Then you have Harley Quinn, who appears twice for boss encounters, which is, like I mentioned earlier, where you go save Gordon from her, where she runs off, to continue the chaos on the island at that point. And then the second time, you're having to take on waves of different enemies, and then you end up locking her in a cell. So technically, you don't really fight her in a traditional sense, but it is still a boss encounter. The final boss fight with the Titan version of the Joker was a bit difficult, but not too difficult. It only took me about 2 or 3 tries to get through it. And then Killer Croc's section, his was really easy. It falls into what I was referring to as an encounter instead of a fight, because it's more or less you sneak around his lair, and you gather the spores that you need to create the antidote, and then you make your way back. And then you also blow up the floor, and he falls through it. So, not really a fight, but still very entertaining. Poison Ivy's fight was a bit annoying, it took me about 5 tries to get through that section. Now let's move on to the last one I haven't talked about, which are the Scarecrow encounters. I struggled on these more than I'd like to admit. And by that, I mean I can't actually tell you how long it took me to beat each one of these, because it took me an unreasonable amount of time. Now, in terms of the gameplay, I really liked the combat. I liked how it flowed. Thought it was good. And I really liked the stealth of the game. I like the way you can crawl through vents here and there when there are vents. I like the way you can swing across gargoyles. I think those are all very interesting methods of stealth, and I like them. But overall, the gameplay, I thought it was really good, thought it was really enjoyable, and super fun. And I feel like it's more or less aged fairly well for how long ago this game actually came out. I thought the soundtrack was really good, and I also really like the overall atmosphere of this game. Now, riddle me this. What part of this game did I absolutely adore, surprisingly? That you had to go around collecting for 240 of them. That's right, the Riddler trophies. I loved collecting the Riddler trophies. I know a lot of people view them as tedious and a pain to collect, which they are, to be honest, but I personally loved collecting them. It filled me with so much joy to go around and collect them. And while the Riddler is technically not physically present as a character in the game, he is vocally present. And I love his voice acting in this game. If I had to say what Batman villain is probably my favorite, like just across the comic books and movies and TV shows and games, it would of course be the Riddler. Now, in terms of my overall rating for this game, I think I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I greatly enjoyed this game. I think it's a game that still holds up really well. Well, I think this is where I'm going to end this review. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a fantastic week. I will see you in the next video. Bye!